Hello there. So, welcome to Talking TV and a very special show for you now on this Christmas Day. I was lucky enough to interview Bernie Clifton just a few weeks ago, and Bernie was on absolutely brilliant form. Bernie has a new book out called Crackerjack to Vegas, and at the age of 87, he's finally got round to writing his autobiography. For more information on the book, you can go to bernieclifton.co.uk. But I tell you what, you will absolutely enjoy this. This is the full interview, and of course, it will also go out on the radio today. Of course, this is the full interview. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy, and make sure you check out Bernie's book as well. Hey, there you are.
Yay!
Good evening.
Which one do you want? Do you want this one or that one?
I'll have whatever. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, you look
Oh,
brilliant.
it's great. You've got to tell me where you are, Chris.
I'm in Berkenshaw, just near Bradford.
I don't want to. No postcodes.
No. You're right. No, I'm just off the just Junction 26, the M62. So I'm at Berkenshaw. I'm originally from Lee in Lancashire, not far from where you grew up. I grew up in Lancashire.
Well, we were in Leeds yesterday at Yorkshire Television.
I saw your Granada interview. That was really good. I saw that the other night.
Fun, yeah, because in Chris Hall, we go back to the time when I was in the England band, carrying a trombone that I couldn't play.
You couldn't. I remember seeing something about that. I remember something like that. Yeah.
I was doing excuse the scarf and everything, but I'm having a heating problem. But no, when I was on Radio Sheffield doing the afternoon show, I was accosted by the England band. This was the band that followed the England football team around, and I always had a trombone in the studio for fun. You know, I think it's a funny instrument, and he suggested I join the band, and I said, yeah, but I can't play. I just have it there. And he went, yeah, of course you can. Anyway, about a month later, I'm in Newcastle at the stadium for England playing somebody, I can't remember who. And John Hemmingham, the band leader, said, just stand next to me and you'll get the hang of it. And I think they played The Great Escape. And I tried to play it. And at the end of it, he looked at me and he says, you can't play it, can you? I said, I've been telling you that for a month. Anyway, and it's such a weird chapter, Chris, because over the next 10 years, I literally toured the world with this band. Literally. Moscow, Brazil, all over Europe, Beijing Olympics. It was amazing with this trombone that I haven't got the hang of it. It was a great chapter in my life, many chapters.
And well, you mentioned chapters, and one of my I loved watching Last Laugh in Vegas. Well, I think it was 5 years ago now. But what the show I loved more about it was, I think it was on ITV3, and it actually showed your act. I mean, the kind of the reality show was good, but on ITV3 they had an extra show where you saw you and you saw everyone's act kind of like in full in front of the audience. That was brilliant to see.
Yeah, we had such a great time, and that again was kind of just a sort of a fluke. I got this inquiry from ITV, and I went over and kind of auditioned for them, and had lunch with them. Thought no more about it, and they said, "Can we send a camera crew to your house to continue the audition process?" And I went, "Yeah, fine." Anyway, these guys turned up, and we're filming it here in the kitchen. And in the middle of it, the phone rang, and I just said to them, "Oh, let it ring, it'll stop." And they said, "Oh, no, answer it, because it's you at home." So I picked up the phone, and a voice said, "Oh, this is ITV here. You're going to Vegas." And I just went, "Whoa!" And I absolutely went berserk. And of course, they knew. That's why they were here filming me getting the call. So
They
it
already
was,
knew you were going to be on it. Oh,
yeah. Again, that was it was after so many years in the business to actually be sat on a plane and travel all the way to Vegas, especially with my contemporaries, people who I'd grown up with, like Cannon and Ball and Jess Conrad, Sue Pollard, and Anita Harris. Yeah, it was another great chapter, Chris.
and Sue Pollard it does get involved in your book as well, doesn't she? At some point as well.
Sue Pollard, she's in the book, and she wrote me a lovely foreword to Sue, and I've met her a few times since, and you never forget because she's like she's on overdrive the whole time. The energy, the energy. I mean, I'll never forget one of this villa in Las Vegas, and it was a sumptuous, huge, like 9-bedroom villa, and we're all in the kitchen, and the back door opened, and this stranger came in, Asian gentleman, and he just said, "Hello," he said, "I am the owner of the villa," and Sue said, "Is it a brothel?" And the guy collapsed. He went, "No, no brothel, no party house." But that's Pollard. I mean, she's amazing. We met the athlete Michael Johnson in Granada in the ITV studios.
Oh wow!
Me and Sue, and she just took over him as if she'd known him all his life. She amazing character, Pollard.
One of the other modern shows you've done lately, well, it was great to see because my two youngest children, Josie and Arthur, watched Crackerjack, and then there you were in the revamp, and obviously you were in it for so many years previous to it coming back. That must have been great to be back involved with.
It was another strange direction where I'd been around and got noticed in the 70s. Over about a 10-year period. I mean, I'd been hoofing it around for 20 years, 25 years, and this TV producer came over to Jersey and said, "Look, we're having a reshuffle with Crackerjack. Would you like to join?" Well, it was a no-brainer because, like you, my kids, I've always been aware of Crackerjack. My kids grew up on it. And then I joined the team, and I was with it for 4 years. To be around Peter Glaze and the ever-present Jan Hunt and Ed Stewart, of course, it was wonderful. It was like we made it up as we went along. We did a film every week that was produced and directed by Alan Bell, who subsequently did Last of the Summer Wine.
Yeah.
And it was great. We were making it up, and it was as live. Alan used to say, "If you make a mistake, it'll go out." So the adrenaline rush on the recording was fantastic. But I wouldn't have missed it for anything.
And obviously 87 to bring your autobiography out. I have to ask, because I keep a diary. Have you always kept a diary, or have you reverted back to notes you've done during your career, or have you had to kind of go and find clips of the good old days and the Royal Variety shows to kind of to kind of remember what you did?
I'd got diaries. I always had a big desk diary, but in a way, I always knew that in 1969 I was at summer season in Devon. 1970 I was in Jersey. 72 I was at 74 I was back in Jersey, and so on. 1974 I lost my voice and couldn't sing. I had to I took a job as a compere for 9 months, and then I went to Jersey, and so those that kind of highlight. If you ask me what I did last week, Chris, I probably can't remember, but and I think as well, from going back at that area, it was such an exciting time, and I always tell people that regarding that period, the work ethic that we all had was amazing. We didn't turn anything down. No matter what it was, where it was, we'd drive through the night and work and work and work, because on the premise that if you didn't do it, there was somebody else behind you, ready to do it. There was so many turns, but there was also so much work.
And in a sense, pre-COVID and after COVID, I think you've still been reinventing yourself. Just before COVID, you were doing this fantastic podcast, which had a kind of a live studio audience in front of it as well. And you've been on Meet the Richardsons this year as well. I mean, you're still getting out there to new audiences, aren't you?
Yeah, one of the nice things is kind of meeting up. When I met up with John Richardson and Lucy, and John asked me to play a certain character, a proper curmudgeon, a man who hated John Richardson and was steeped in his variety roots and couldn't stand this sort of new, what they used to call alternative comedy. And it suited me perfectly because I never broke a smile in that company. I met people like Johnny Vegas, who's like me, a fellow St. Helens, and lots of other people of that generation. So it was nice. It was nice to mix it. I also met the people in John's house when we were filming, who made me a lightweight ostrich in 1980 to enable me to run the London Marathon on it.
I've heard about this. So what time did you end up running the London Marathon in? Kind of with Oswald round you. How long did it take to get round?
Well, again, I think I was kind of obsessive. You know, I think if I got an idea or something, if I got a ability, I would just go to all lengths. And by that time, the ostrich was established, and I'd done the Royal Variety Show with it, and a lot of television as well. And suddenly, the first London Marathon was in 1981.
Yeah.
And I watched a father and son from Wolverhampton, I think, and they ran it in a rhinoceros costume. And I thought, well, if they could, surely I could do it. And I was doing that show from Leeds, the same building where I was yesterday for Yorkshire Television. I was doing a show in Leeds, and it was called 321.
Ted Rogers, absolutely.
With Ted Rogers. And the guys, the prop makers and the technicians that made Dusty Bin, they were the Rowley family. And I asked them, could they hatch a lightweight ostrich that I could run a marathon in? And they looked at me as if I was mad. But the weird thing is, I was in the same building yesterday after such a long period, 40 years since when I first met the Rowleys and first did 321 in Leeds on Kirkstall Road, which is now YTV. I always knew it as Yorkshire Television's headquarters.
Well, they did so many great shows down on Kirkstall Road there. I mean, Rising Damp, Says Les. I mean, they were all based at Countdown wasn't it, for years as well?
Not half, yeah. I mean, we went back even further. When it was an extra on television, there was an agency in Leeds, run by Stanley Josephs and his brother, based in the City Varieties in Leeds, and it was called ATS, and they had the contract to book all the extra work for anyone, Granada, Crown Court in Granada.
Crown Court.
I saw it yesterday. Somebody sent me a photograph yesterday, and it was me in court as a junior barrister, with all my hair, all my sort of hair sticking out from under this wig. And that was again, we're going back to the early 70s.
Absolutely.
And everybody, if you were fortunate enough to see Crown Court and looked at the extras, the prison warders and the policemen and the junior barristers, we all had big mullets and sideburns because we were all turns. We were all, and we used to leap. Yeah, they were great. We used to leap out the studio at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and jump in our cars and go and be turned all over Lancashire and Yorkshire. I was at Batter Variety Club, Compare. I did lots and lots of months. It was just part of the course. We never thought twice. It was
Batley
work.
Variety Club is just down the road from where I am right now, and it's a gym of all things now.
Wow, I know. Well, funnily enough, I was with the gentleman yesterday. He's now a presenter on Calendar, Ian White.
Yeah.
And I was with Ian yesterday in the studio talking about the book. And I've got a photograph of my good self with Ian and Con from the Bachelors. And we were there to announce or to signify the closing of Batley Variety Club because it meant so much to us. The Bachelors actually opened the club on opening night. It was the Bachelors, and I was fortunate enough when it was at its peak to compare the show. And you'd go for a month, and in that month you might get Shirley Bassey for 2 weeks, and then Neil Sedaka. I used to drive up the M1 in the summer from Chesterfield, overtaking lines and lines of coaches from anywhere from the south, in the Midlands, from Yorkshire, all heading for Batley. It was the mecca of entertainment.
Such a great venue. Such a great, it was. Speaking of variety, I mean, you performed the Royal Variety Show, like you mentioned, so many times between 1979 and 2016. I mean, still a big show, but absolutely massive. What was that like?
Oh, it was like I was doing an act once at a Blazers club in Windsor, which was a great venue, and it happened to coincide an evening of a large charity, like a show business charity. I think it might well have been the Variety Club. I can't honestly remember. But on the top table, right across the back of the room, was everybody you've ever heard of in show business, all the major stars and people from the Delphont organization. Yeah. And amongst them was Louis Benjamin. And Louis Benjamin was organized the Royal Variety Show. And there I was in a club, in my element. And my agent got a call the following morning from Louis Benjamin, who said, I saw this man last night. He had a parrot on his shoulder, and it was a cat. I had a cat on my shoulder. Part of one of my features of my act. And subsequently, I was booked for the Royal Variety Show, and that again, it changed my life. It was minutes that I'd prepared for. I'd been working for 25 years, and it was brilliant because the Queen. My friend came backstage and said, "I've just been watching the Queen, watching you," and she's absolutely shrieking with laughter. She got a handkerchief out, mopping the tears of laughter away. So, and that.
Apparently, Les Dawson though gave you advice when you started. Les Dawson gave you advice to bring in Oswald. Is that right?
It's all Les's fault. I was doing the first time I'd ever appeared at Batley Variety Club, and this would have been 70. This is 53 years ago, and Barney Colehone was in the audience, and Barney produced The Good Old Days.
Yeah.
And Derek Smith, the manager, said, "Wow, it was fantastic. And Barney Colehone wants to see you." I said, "Do you mean the?" He went, "Yeah." So I went up into the audience where Barney was sitting, and I remember he sat at his table. There was no room for me to sit, so I knelt at his feet.
No,
because I couldn't stand, because I would be blocking people's view. I knelt at his feet, and he said, Where have you been?" And obviously, I wasn't a youngster. I was in my 40s, 50. And I said, "Well, I've been doing these clubs around up and down this county for the last 20 years." And anyway, I did the Good Old Days subsequently, and at the end of the show, and at the time I was doing a song and a few gags, and Les Dawson, who was topping the bill, he took me to one side and he gave me a proper dressing down. He gave me a real rollicking. He says, "You're all right." He says, why are you doing what the same as everyone else? He says, there's 100 comics out there. He says, you're all doing the same gags, and of course he was right. And he said, why don't you find your own style? And he must have seen something in me, to make him to spend the time. Why don't you find? He said, what is it you like doing? I said, well, I love mucking about with props. And he said, well, why don't you go out and be a prop comic? And he used that term because Les was a great writer. He said, plow your own furrow. And I've never forgotten it. And the following day, I was in a junk shop. I saw a lion skin, and I bought it for 10 bob. And then I found a pair of biscuit tins. I started dancing in biscuit tins, and then I got this cat on my shoulder, and I flew from Jersey to Shepperton Studios and bought this huge rubber shark, from a film set, and I was on my way. A 20-foot high inflatable diving suit. Don't ask.
I can picture it. I can picture it. One other thing I should mention before we go is the voice, because that was amazing to hear you, and obviously then for you to be unveiled in the auditions, and of course you released an album following that. That must have been, that was really brave to come out and do that on Saturday night, but you must have really enjoyed it as well.
Well, I was a singer. I was always a singer. In fact, that's really, I think, what I wanted to be. I was a frustrated singer, but there's lots of singers about. But coming from where I came from in Lancashire, we had a kind of a great sense of humour. I was working on the building site with Irish labourers and Scousers, and we would do anything for the crack, and kind of develop this sense of humour. And they were just like practical jokes and stuff. There's something about that part of the country that I think I was fortunate to grow up in, because there was an innate sense of humor. And I think because of that, I took that with me and enjoyed that visualization, the sheer nonsense of it. And of course, I was brought up just down the road from Knotty Ash, where my hero lived, and to later in his career and my own career, to spend time with him and become good friends, was you couldn't put a price on that, could you?
I think I got to see, I think it was either one of his last 2 or last 3 gigs he did. One of them was the Bradford Alhambra before he passed away, and it was absolutely, I think he was 89 at the time, and you know yourself, he did not want to go home that night. It was absolutely superb, as always. He was on top form. He really was, Doddy.
He did a series of lunches in his, as you say, in his final year or two. And he asked me to join him for one of them. And it was in London at the beautiful hotel. And on this table, there was me, there was Lord Michael Grade, Barry Cryer, Roy Hood, the guy that wrote his biography, and a well-known, and there I was. Yeah. And when it was my turn to speak, I thought, well, this is another chance. So I did the guy who's the subject of Ken's income tax, and the room went quiet, and it was like, oh, where's he going with this? And I said, I'll tell you the gag. It's like, none of us can ever forget, ladies and gentlemen, the dark days of the Inland Revenue trial. And the room went. And I said, who could have guessed the outcome? In one corner, we had the Inland Revenue, and in the other corner, a jury of 12 Scousers. And then I said, and upon Ken being acquitted, his QC George Carman flew to Los Angeles and got Stevie Wonder a driving license.
Oh,
Yeah, great. But these are great moments, and
yeah.
And this is, it's 20 years, it's 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And I'll never, they're one of the, because they're all in the book.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Show that.
Is that back to front with you?
No, it looks absolutely fine from here, that. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the emotional things about the book is that it brings back the memory, absolutely shiny, bright, sharp memory, and also but because of the dark days, and everybody has them, it brings those back as well. So it's been similar to my career. It's been a roller coaster, but an emotional one as well, because you're reminded of all and it's not all fun, is it? Life isn't fun.
Absolutely not. I mean, but you're looking absolutely dapper. Do you have I'm thinking of a fellow octogenarian, my uncle Norman, who has a very set routine. Do you have a set routine, or do you kind of what's your secret?
My set routine at the moment is do everything I can to keep warm. Look at me. I live in an old house, and it's got like the windows. It's about 400 years old.
Oh my word!
And there's no double glazing. Second, but behind that photograph, I've got like a Rayburn, like a big Argo.
Yeah,
and that heats the house. And in a way, people who are living in a modern environment come and look at my lifestyle and say, I said, well, it keeps me fit. I'm going up and down the fields, coming back, dragging a tree behind a quad bike. We get a tree. If we get a tree that falls down, we go and get it and chop it up. And in a way, it's it's eccentric, I suppose.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Thank you so much for coming on the show, though. And BernieClifton.co.uk has all the information as well about your book, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And it's entitled The Crackerjack to Vegas, Chris. But there's more to it than that, because it starts in St. Helens, where in Charles Street, the bomb dropped. We lived at 59. We were under the stairs. I was 4. And the bomb dropped on 65, 67, 4 doors up.
Oh,
so that was close. So I escaped that. I was an expert bomb dodger at the age of 4. And then I went through my life generally failing at everything I did, from going to grammar school and then a bad plumber, and I was the kid with the Hovis bike delivering bread. And I was thrown out of grammar. I passed my scholarship, but I was thrown out of grammar school when I was 15. So if I say it myself, it's a great, unexpected story with many twists and turns. It's taken me 14 years to actually get it to this situation. So, and like you said, if you did get onto BernieClifton.co.uk, you'll find the route to get it. Yeah, it's been great fun.
No, make sure you do that as well, listeners and viewers. Bernie, thank you so much for taking the time to come on and talk to us. Absolutely brilliant, that. Thank you.
You too, and thanks for giving me a chance to remind myself of these times. From Mike Craig, my friend, who actually the great writer and producer, he used to say when he went to Lancashire that he went on missionary work. And I borrow that phrase when I say, when I came from Lancashire, I came to Yorkshire, Derbyshire on missionary work. But thanks for the opportunity, Chris. It's great to talk.
You're welcome. All the best for Christmas, though. Look after yourself.
Thank you very much, and stay warm yourself, Chris.
I will. See you later. Good night.
Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.